Please confirm you can hear me clearly.
Good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Oh, great. Please, let's check our speaker.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Please, let's mute our speaker so that we can have a class with less interference. Tonight, we shall continue with our discussion on modern costing system. Last week, we started discussion on modern costing systems. A quick recap of our last class. We explained that modern costing systems were developed so as to address the peculiarities of the modern manufacturing environment. What are these peculiarities? Modern manufacturing environment is largely driven by technology. This implies that most of the costs incurred cannot be traced to a particular product. It also means that most of the costs incurred in modern manufacturing environments are indirect costs. Compared to the traditional manufacturing environment, where production was driven by labor force, we now itemize the modern costing systems to be discussed. Number one, we mentioned life cycle costing. Number two is target costing. Number three, activity-based costing. Number four, theory of constraints and throughput accounting. Number five, environmental accounting. And we mentioned just in time. At our last class, we discussed life cycle and target costing. At our last week class, we discussed the principles of life cycle costing. We equally discussed the principles of target costing. However, we can only attend to questions. We only put questions to target costing. Tonight, we shall be taking questions from, last week, we took questions for life cycle costing. Tonight, we shall be looking at questions on target costing. A quick recap of target costing. We explained that target cost is a proactive cost control a proactive cost control measure. The target cost is calculated by deducting the target profit from the target selling price. This target selling price is established through market or customer survey. The target selling price is established through customer survey. The company will conduct a market survey to find out the amount the customer is willing to pay for a product. We said the company will carry out a market survey to find out from the customers how much are they willing to pay for the product. Through this market survey, a selling price will be established. That selling price is called target selling price. Thereafter, the company will determine its target profit. Thereafter, the company will determine its target profit. From the target selling price, the target profit will be deducted so as to arrive at the target cost. Once the target cost has been established, management will ensure that the product is produced at a cost that will be within the target cost. The management will ensure that the product is produced at a cost within the established target cost. It is very possible that the estimated cost of the product, just 1 minute, please, just 1 minute. Let's continue. It is very possible that the estimated cost of the product will be above the target cost. The difference between this is what we call cost gap, where the estimated cost is above the target cost. That will give rise to cost gap. Where there's a cost gap, it is the responsibility of the management to close the cost gap. This 1 minute. I'm trying to take water. All right, let's continue. Where there's a cost gap, it is the responsibility of the management to identify ways of closing the cost gap. To close the cost gap, management will consider value analysis. To close the cost gap, management will carry out value analysis. What is value analysis? Management will carry out an analysis of the product cost to establish which of the activities add value to the product and which activities are not adding value to the product. Any activity that is not adding value to a product, it only adds cost. Management will remove that activity. Any activity that is not adding value to a product and the activity generates cost, management will remove such activity. This was the explanation last week. Tonight, we shall look at question number 1. Yes. Polite.
Okay, sir. Please, sir, I just want you to help me explain the difference between estimated cost and target cost. How do we differentiate it?
All right. Your target cost is the cost that the company plans to achieve. The target cost is the cost the company plans to achieve. At this point, the company has not determined the material cost, or the labor cost, or the overhead cost. The company will look for target selling price. Assuming you want to manufacture a new product, before you commence manufacturing, you are going to carry out a market survey to ask your customers, to ask the buying public, how much are they willing to pay for the products? As at this point, you have not manufactured the product. You carry out a market survey to find out from the customer how much are they willing to pay for the products. Assuming your customer is willing to pay 1,000 naira for the product, that 1,000 naira is your target selling price. That 1,000 naira becomes your target selling price. From the target selling price, you will now determine what is your own profit Out of this 1,000, how much are you willing to take as a profit? The amount you are willing to take as your own profit is the target profit. The difference between the target selling price and the target profit is what we call your target cost. As at this point, you have not commenced production. After you are done with this process, you now estimate the material cost of the product. You are going to estimate the labor cost of the product. You are going to estimate the overhead cost of the product. When you are done with your estimation, you are going to get the estimated cost. In other words, your estimated cost is where you now put cost, price to the material, the labor, and what have you. You now estimate the cost. Is that better, sir?
Very well, sir. Very well. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Okay, it was on Monday. Let's go our material. Page 126. Question number 1. Edward and Co. Page 126. Question 1. Edward and Co. All right. Please, can somebody confirm that this page has been opened?
Open, sir.
All right.
Open, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Assembles and sell many types of radio. It is considering extending its product range to include digital radios. These radios produce a better sound quality than the traditional radios. And a large number of potential additional features not possible with the previous technologies. Next paragraph. A radio is produced by assembly workers. Assembly handling a variety of components. Production overhead are currently absorbed into product cost and assembly labor hour basis. Please note that overhead is absorbed using labor hour. I had a temporary network glitch, but I'm back. Of 4,400 naira has been set in order to compete with similar radio on the market that has comparable features to Edward intended products. The board has agreed that the acceptable margin after allowing for all production costs should be 20%. Cost information for the new radio. 1. Components 1. Circuit board. These are bought in and cost 400 naira each. They are bought in batches of 4,000 and additional delivery costs are 240,000 per batch. Components 2, wiring. In an ideal situation, 25 centimeters of wire is needed for each completed radio. Please, 1 minute. Let's continue, please. Joseph, can you mute? In an ideal situation, 25 centimeters of wiring is needed for each completed radio. However, there's some waste involved in the process, as wire is occasionally cut to the wrong length or is damaged in the assembly process. Edward and Co. estimates that 2% of the purchased wire is lost in the assembly process. Wire cost 50 naira per meter to buy. Next. Other material. Other material cost 810 naira per radio. Assembly labor. These are skilled people who are difficult to recruit and retain. Edward and Co. has more staff of this type than needed, but is prepared to carry the extra cost in return for the security it gives the business. It takes 30 minutes to assemble a radio, and the assembly worker are paid 1,260 naira per unit per hour. It is estimated that 10% of hours paid to the assembly worker is for idle time, production overhead. Recent historic cost analysis has revealed the following production overhead data. You have month 1 and month 2. Overhead for month 1, total production overhead cost 620 million. Assembly hour 19,000. For month 2, 700 million. Assembly hours 23,000. Fixed production overhead are absorbed on an assembly hour basis based on normal annual activity levels. In a typical year, 240,000 assembly hours will be worked by Edward. Requirements A. Calculate the expected cost per unit of the radio and identify any cost gap that might exist. Requirement A says calculate the expected cost per radio. Then identify any cost gap that might exist. Let's go to this. If you are faced with question of this nature, if you are faced with question of this nature, you want to calculate I, the first thing you are going to do is to calculate your target cost. Let me repeat that statement. Let me repeat that statement. If you are faced with question of this nature, you are required to calculate expected cost of a product and to determine if there is a cost gap The first thing you are going to do is to determine your target cost. What is your target cost? The differences between the target selling price and the target profit. Let's go back to the question. I'll pick my pen. Now, please look at the question. Look at paragraph 3. A selling price of 4,400 naira has been set. That is the target selling price. Also, look at this. The board has agreed that the acceptable margin after allowing for all production costs should be 20%. That is the target profit. Come here. Our target selling price, 4,400. Target profit margin, 20% of the selling price. Please compose 20% of 4,400.
$880.
Yes, Mike.
$880, sir.
880. That is your target profit. The difference between the two represents your target cost. Please find the difference. 3,000 was
520.
all right. We have gotten the target cost. This is the cost the company is planning to achieve to produce a radio. Management said the cost should not be more than 3,520. Next, our next working. Estimation of expected cost per radio. Estimation of the expected cost per radio. Let's go to this. Cost information for the new radio is as follows. Component 1, circuit board. Can you see it? These are bought in and cost 40. To produce a radio, we require component 1. Component 1 is circuit board. These are bought in and will cost us 410. We are going to pick that. They are bought in batches of 4,000 units. That means circuit board is purchased in batches. A batch contains 4,000 units. Additional delivery costs are 240,000 per batch. Let us go and treat this. Okay. You come here. Component 1 circuit board. The cost is or we can do like this. The cost here is 410. Additional delivery cost. The cost for component for circuit board 1 is 410. But we are going to incur additional delivery cost. Let's go to working 1. A batch contains 4,000 units. Additional delivery cost per batch is 240,000. Please, what is delivery cost per unit? Hello? I'm going to deliver a batch for 240,000 naira. And a batch contains 4,000 units. What is delivery cost per unit?
60 naira.
Thank you. 60 naira. That is total delivery cost 240,000 divided by number of units in a batch. 4,000 units in one batch. That means delivery cost per unit is 60 naira. Return back up. 60 naira. You can add these two together. That will give you 470. You are done with component 1. You are done with component 1. Move to component 2. Component 2 is wiring. To produce a radio, we require wire. That is component 2. Examiner says, in an ideal situation, 25 centimeters of wiring is needed for each completed radio. To produce a radio, you require 25 centimeters of wire. However, there are some waste involved in the process, as wire is cut to the wrong size or damaged in the process. Edward and Co. estimates that 2% of the purchased wire, look at it, 2% of the purchased wire is lost in the assembly process. Wire costs 50 naira per meter to buy. Let us explain this. To produce a radio, what we require is 25 centimeters. But there's a problem. We are going to have 2% wastage. That means if I want to purchase wire, I cannot purchase 25 centimeters because there's going to be 2% of the wire that will go bad. That means I need to make provision for the 2%. If I purchase 100% wire, 2% of the wire will go bad. It means that only 98% of wire is used for actual production. Is that point clear, please? If you go to markets, you are going to purchase 100% of wire. And you are aware that 2% will be damaged. That means only 80% is required for production. Only 98%. Only 98% is required for production. Let us go and demonstrate this in calculation. Let us demonstrate this in calculation. All right, let's continue. Components 2. Wiring. Let's go to working 2. So time my hand. Okay, let me take my receiver. Look at this. Wire required for production. For production, 25 centimeters. Expected wastage, 2%. Purchase wire, 100%. If I buy 100% of wire, 2% is expected to be wasted. That means 98% is used for production. It means that this 25 centimeters is equivalent to 98%. But I need to get 100%. To get your 100%, look at it. 98% is equal to 25 centimeters. Oh, why now? Therefore, 100% is equal to 100 over 98 multiplied by 25 centimeters. Please work this out. You are going to get 25.51 centimeter. That is how to gross up. You are going to get 25.51 centimeter. You have grossed up 98% to 100%. The purchase wire will be 25.51 centimeter. You can now calculate the cost of wire now. Examiner says wire cost 50 meter, 50 naira per meter. The examiner says wire cost 50 naira per meter. Examiner has introduced additional complexity. The examiner has introduced additional complexity. The wire is in centimeter, but the price is in meter. 25.5 centimeter wire. And a wire costs 50 naira per meter. You now need to convert meter to centimeter. Or you are going to convert centimeter to meter. Yes, you are going to convert centimeter to meter. The question is, how many centimeter equal to 1 meter?
1,000.
What do you say, sir?
1,000.
1,000 centimeter equal to 1 meter. That is not correct. I have 25.5 centimeter. I want to convert it to meter. How many centimeter equals to 1 meter? Hundred centimeter is equal to 1 meter. You now need to convert this. 25.5 centimeter divided by 100. That will give you 0.2551 meter. You have converted centimeter to meter. You can now calculate the cost of wire now. You can calculate cost of wire now. We are going to purchase we are going to purchase please hold on, okay, 0.2551 meter, and the price per meter is 50 naira per meter. Please multiply.
12.755.
12.755. You now go to your calculation. Component 2 wiring, see working 2. This will give me 12.755. You are done with component 2. You can see now, we are now estimating if there is no question, we move to all material. 3 components 1, component 2, now other material. Other material cost 810 per radio. Pick this amount. Polite, can you see now? After you have established your target cost, you now go and estimate the cost. Other material is 810 naira per radio. Next, assembly labor. These are skilled people who are difficult to recruit and retain. Edward and Co. has more staff of this type than needed, but it's prepared to carry the extra cost in return for the security it gives the business. All right, listen to this. It takes 30 minutes to assemble a radio. 30 minutes is half hour. And to assemble it will take 30 minutes. And the assembly workers are paid 1,200 naira per hour. It is estimated that 10% of the hours paid to the assembly worker is for idle time. Let us explain this briefly. Market will pay worker for idle time, 10%. That means the amount paid for actual work is 90%. Management will pay you 10% for idle time. That means for actual work done, management is paying you 90%. Management will pay 100% to you. Out of that 100%, 10% is for idle time. It means that for the actual work done, 90%, You are going to analyze this out yourself. If examiner says payments for due time, remember, what they are doing is 100%. What management will pay is 100% payment. Out of this 100%, 10% I do percent is for actual work done. Let's go and analyze it. Let us go and convert this to calculation. Working 3. Please start it. Labor hour. That's payments for actual work. Examiner says 1,260. Pays for idle time. Exactly 10%. Total payments 100%. If out of 10% is for idle time, it means that for actual work done is 90%. If you want to get actual payment, that means you need to gross up. If you want to get the total payment, please let me create more space. If you want to get the total payment is 100%. You come here, actual work done. That is, let me not waste time with this. %90 is equal to 1,260. Therefore, 100% will be 100/90 multiplied by 1,260. Please work this out. That will give you 1,400. That is the 100% rate per hour. This is the 100% rate per hour. It includes payment for actual work and payment for idle time. If you compute 10% of this now, 10% of 1,400, that is the 100%. That will give you 140. Add these two together, 1,400. That means the rate management we pay per hour is 1,400. This 1,400 includes payments for the actual work done and payments for idle time. You can now get assembly labor cost per radio. Assembly labor cost per radio is equal to produce one radio, half hour. Labor cost per hour, 1,400. Please multiply. Half hour multiplied by 1,400.
700.
That will give us 700. For working 3, 700. We have taken material cost. We have 3 materials: component 1, circuit board; component 2, wiring; and other material. We have taken labor cost, that is assembly labor cost. We now move to overhead. Overhead. Production overhead. Recent historic cost analysis has revealed the following overhead data. We have month 1 and month 2. Production overhead for month 1 and month 2. And we have activity level for month 1 and month 2. We need to separate this production overhead cost into variable and fixed. Your production overhead, you need to separate it into variable production overhead and fixed overhead. How do we separate this? Without being told, you can see activity at the highest level and the activity at the lowest level. You can use high and low method to estimate overhead cost now. For this aspect, because you have activity at the highest level and activity at the lowest level, you can adopt the high and low method to determine the amount of fixed cost and variable elements embedded. Let us translate this into calculation. Once you have activity at the highest level, and you have activity at the lowest level, you can adopt high and low method to separate the cost. Look at it. I want to determine the variable overhead cost. I will now go and look at it, the highest level and the lowest level. At the high level, labor hour is 23,000, and total production overhead cost is 700 million. At the low level, labor hour is 19,000. Total production overhead is 620 million. Look for the differences.
Units.
4,000 hours. Differences here. What do you have?
80 million.
80 million. Now, variable overhead rate per unit. Remember this. This is differences in cost, differences in overhead cost divided by differences in labor hour. Labor hour is our activity now. That means I'm going to pick, look at it, I'm going to pick 80 million
Divided by 4,000 hours.
4,000 hours. What do you have?
20,000.
20,000. Oh, 20,000.
Yes, sir.
How come I have 10,000? Is that correct?
Sir, from the question, sir, the total production overhead, I think, is 70 million and 62 million.
Okay, it's an error here. This should
Not
be
700 million and 620
this
million.
should be 62. This should be 70. All right, it's an error there. I'll correct this here. This should be we should have 70 million here. 62 million here. This should give us
8 million.
8 million. This should give us so you should have
10,000.
20
2,000.
naira. Is that not? Yes, 2,000. Thank you.
2,000.
It should be 2,000 per labor hour. That will give you 2,000 naira per labor hour. You have gotten the variable overhead rate per hour. Now calculate your total variable overhead. You can either use highest level or lowest level. If I pick high level, total variable overhead, at high level, we are going to work 23,000 hours. And the variable rate per hour is 2,000 naira. That means my total variable overhead, 23,000 labor hours at the rate of 2,000 per hour. Please multiply. That will give you 46 million. That is the total variable overhead. Out of this 70 million, out of these 240 million, out of these 70, total variable overhead is 46 million. What is total fixed overhead?
24, 24.
Total fixed is equal to
70 minus 26.
production overhead minus total variable. Total variable overhead. That is 70 million minus 46 million. That will give us 24 million. You have gotten your variable overhead rate per hour. Variable overhead rate per hour, 2,000 naira per labor hour. You can return up. To produce a radio, I require half hour. And the variable overhead rate per hour is 2,000 naira. What is the variable cost per radio? Hours multiplied by the rate per hour. You are going to multiply to produce a radio. I require 30 minutes. The variable overhead rate per hour is 2,000 naira. What is the variable overhead per radio?
1,000.
1,000. Please get the exam. There is difference between cost per unit and cost per hour. And please read carefully. If you are giving cost per hour, you need to go and pick the hour first. If you are giving cost per hour, to get cost per unit, you are going to look for the hour required per unit. Look at what we did here. We have the variable overhead rate per hour, 2,000 naira. I will now ask myself, how many hours do I require to produce a unit? That is 30 minutes. So you are going to multiply the hour by the rate per hour. All right. The last one is fixed overhead cost. Now, we have calculated the total fixed overhead cost to be 24 million. But I need to get fixed overhead cost per radio. You have calculated the total fixed overhead cost to be 24 million naira. But we need to get fixed overhead cost per one radio. Let us go back to the question. Examiner says fixed production overhead are absorbed on an assembly hour basis based on normal annual activity level. In a typical year, 240,000 assembly hours will be worked. That means I can use this to get the fixed overhead rate. Look at it. Please look at it. Total fixed overhead cost. The total fixed overhead cost is 24 million naira. In 1 year, annual hours work, annual hours work is 240,000 hours. An examiner says fixed overhead is absorbed on labor hour basis. Examiner says fixed overhead is absorbed on labor hour basis We now need to calculate the fixed overhead absorption rate based on labor hour. We need to calculate fixed overhead absorption rate based on labor hour. Look at it. Fixed overhead absorption rates based on labor hours. There's a challenge here. This hour is for 1 year. But this fixed overhead cost is for 1 month. Let me show you the aspect. Please look at the question. Examiner say month 1 and month 2. That means this overhead cost is for 1 month. But the assembly hour is for 1 year. You cannot divide 1 month's cost by 1 year hours. It will be wrong to divide 1 month's overhead cost by 1 year labor hours. In this case, you need to take the hours to months. That is, if 240 hours is for 1 typical year, that means monthly hour is equal to 240 divided by 12. That will give you 20,000 hours. Yeah. You have taken the hour to months. In a month, the hour is 20,000 hours. You can now do like this. Fixed overhead absorption rate based on labor hour is equal to total fixed overhead for 1 month, 24 million, divided by 1 month hours, 20,000 hours. Please compute. What is the fixed overhead rate per hour? What do we have?
One, two.
1,200 per hour, labor hour, per labor hour. You can now return to your computation. You have gotten fixed overhead rate per labor hour. How many labor hours is required to produce a radio? That is 30 minutes. Convert to hour. That is half an hour. can come here. To produce a radio require 30 minutes at the rate of fixed overhead rate per hour, 1,200. That will give you 600 naira. You can now sum your cost. $470. You can sum your cost now.
16,335.
3,000.
16,000.
16,000 K. How come? This is not possible now. 470
470.
plus 12.755
12.610
plus 810 plus 700 plus 1,000 plus 6,000.
600.
Is this 6,000 or 600?
600, 600.
What is total?
3,592.755. 92.755.
92.755. This is the estimated or the expected cost per radio. Expected cost per radio. The examiner says identify the cost gap. You have gotten the estimated cost. Now compare it to the expected cost. Expected cost 3,520. Estimated cost 3,592.755. Do we have cost gap?
Yes, sir.
Determine the cost gap.
$72.755.
Thank you. The cost gap is, look at this, cost gap. You pick the expected cost, 3,592.55. Then you pick the target cost, 3,520. 72.755. This is the cost gap. Cost gap. You are done with A Roman figure. Requirement A. Any question, please?
Yes, sir. I have a question. Oh.
Yes, please pick up on your question.
Okay. You know, from the equation, the component 2. Sorry, not component 2. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Please go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. My question is on the assembly labor costs. You know, they said 30 minutes to assemble a radio, and the assembly workers are to pay 1,260 per hour. I don't know how you manage to perceive that this amount, 1,260, is not inclusive of the 10% hourly rate. So if I were to treat this, that means I miss it out. So I just want to know how you were able to perceive that.
How we perceive, okay? The question says it will take you 30 minutes to assemble a radio. That means you are going to work for 30 minutes. Is that not, please? Is that not,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
you are going to be paid 1,260. Is that not, please?
Per hour. Yes, sir.
Per hour. Is that not, please? That means if you have spent 30 minutes to work, you spend 30 minutes to produce a radio, and we pay you 1,260. Are you idle?
For 30 minutes, no.
That 30 minutes you are working, you are not idle. That means that 10% has not been paid. Because you are going to spend 30 minutes working on the radio, and you are paid 1,000 naira, 1,260. It is estimated that 10% of hours paid, 10% of the hour paid, if by the time we pay total amount, total payment, 10% of the hours paid to the assembly is for idle time. That 30 minutes is for actual, that is the actual hours, actual minutes required for work. So,
okay, sir, my confusion is when they said estimated that 10% hour paid, not that payable. So it's like inclusive. The way I'm thinking it is inclusive of this 1,260.
sorry, it is estimated that means this has not happened. 10% of hours paid to the assembly worker is for idle time. If you now want to interpret it, is that for actual radio production, I'm only going to use actual work 30 minutes. If you compute that rate is on 30 minutes work. Are you there, sir? That rate,
yes, sir.
30 minutes work. So that 10% has not been fashioned in. Another thing you can do is that to say, if 30 minutes is for actual work done and 10% is for idle, that means if I want to work back again, I will do like this. I will do like this. Management will still give me some money for not doing anything. If 30 minutes is for actual work, that means for my idle time, you now gross up. That 30 minutes can be taken to be 90%. I will now say 100% we have 33.33333. Let me even check. Because this has been confusing students so much. Multiply by 1260. Okay, no. Yeah, okay. Divided by 6. And that thing you can also do. Another thing you can do to also tell you that 30 minutes is for actual work done. You can also do like this. Look at it. You can do like this. Look at it too. Let me put it here. Management will pay me 10%. 10% for idle time. That means for actual work done, actual work is for 30 minutes. Idle time is 10%. Management will pay me for total time 100%. That means if actual work done is, if idle time is 10% and management pay me 100%, that means 30 minutes represents 90%. You can gross this up. If 90% is equal to 30 minutes, how many minutes is 100%? Just do like this. 100% is equal to 100 over 90 multiplied by 30 minutes. That will give you 3.333333. Check it. When you have gotten it now, the rate pay per hour, that figure you have gotten, convert this to hour. It's going to give you, if you do 30 divided by 0.09, convert it to hour. Let me even open this, show more. It's going to give you 0. If you convert this to hour, it will give you 0.5555. Now multiply it by 1269. You are still going to get 700. That will still take you back to this amount. If you apply it, because that 30 minutes is for actual work done. We have not fashioned it the minute for idle time. Management is paying you actual for pay you for actual work. Management will fashion it 10%. I hope it's better.
All right, sir. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
You can check your calculator. You are still going to get, you can effect the 10% either on the minutes or on the rate. You are still going to get your 700 naira.
All right. The issue was not really on the calculation aspect. I got that quite all right. I mean, the techniques or the underlying word that made us to, or made you to understand
You are still sticking to
that
your
this.
mind. You see, you are sticking to your own mind. The question I ask you is that if you take you 30 minutes to complete a review, have management paid you for idle work? Except you are saying that you are not going to, that 30 minutes is not for actual work done. The question is very specific. He said, it will take 30 minutes to assemble a radio. That means that 30 minutes is actual work done. What is the minutes that person is idle that we are paying for? What is the minute that worker is idle that we are paying for? If you compute it on 30 minutes and multiply by 2,000, 1,260, that means you have compute on actual work done. May God give us a better understanding. All right. We have finished the A part. The B part and the C part, these are theories. Explain the benefit to Edward of adopting target costing approach at the early stage of the product development process. What are the benefits of target costing? Let's look at it. One, target costing, the benefit one, it shows management's commitment to process improvements and product innovation. Target costing shows management's commitment to process improvements and product innovation to gain competitive advantage 2, the product is created from the expectation of the customers, and hence cost is also based on customers' expectation. The customer feels more value. The customer feels more value is delivered. Number 3, with passage of time, the company operations improve drastically, creating economy of scales. The company approach to designing and manufacturing products becomes market driven. These are the benefits. Target costing is a market driven product costing method. Then the C part of the question. The examiner says assuming a cost gap was identified in the process, outline possible steps Edward could take to reduce this cost gap. We have identified a cost gap of 72 naira 0.755. What are the steps? What are the actions management can take to cover the cost gap? Yes, any suggestion?
One is that they should work in controlling wastage so as to reduce the extra cost.
Right. One is management should work on reducing wastage. If you look at that, for component 2, 2% of wire purchased are lost due to damage or cutting to the wrong length. You are very correct. To close the cost gap, management should try to reduce material wastage. Number 2, yes, any opinion?
Idle time.
Yes, can you explain that?
Management can work out to reduce the percentage of idle time from 10, maybe probably to 5, thereby saving them from extra cost.
Yeah. Why would management be paying staff for idle time? Look at it. Management is paying 140 naira per hour of being idle. Why would management be paying staff 140 naira per hour of being idle? Management should consider removing idle time payments. All right. You can also look at alternative suppliers. Look at other material. Other material cost 810 per radio. That is quite expensive. Let's go to that aspect. Other material is 810 naira per radio. That is quite expensive. Management can consider alternative supplier for other materials. All right. We can only take one question today. Look at it. Ways to reduce cost gap. Reduce material cost by reducing the number of components needed in manufacture. Obtain access to efficient technology. Reduce material costs by standardizing the components used in the products. Remove non-value added processes or components. These are some of the reasons, some of the ways management can close the cost gap. All right. Any question, please? Please, let's try to look at our material. All right, if there's no question, we shall stop here tonight. May God bless the little we have done. Good night, and let's remain blessed.
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
I will be checking out.
Good night, sir.